As I said before, this is the URL in order to access your AWS console. And as of today, we will be logging into this AWS account by using root credentials, not by using IAM user. Let's say sign in using root user email. In my case, I have to provide my credentials. So, for example, and then followed by the password. Let me configure that. And so I have configured MFA. I'll let you know today how to configure multi-factor authentication for your root account, which is so mandate. Let us say a day one activity. After your AWS account has been created, on the first day, what you are supposed to do? You have to ensure your account is secured. First thing I have told you, while configuring the AWS account itself, you have to set some strong password for the root account. Every AWS account will have an account ID, which is a 12-digit number. Okay, so it will be a 12-digit number. It will be unique across all the AWS account. That is called as account ID. You can just check here. On the top right corner, you will see a drop-down list with your account name. And then under that, we can see the account ID. If you don't see anything else in this particular category, it is nothing but root account. If it is IAM user, below this particular account ID or above this account ID, it will show you IAM username from which you have logged in. That is called as IAM access. That's a way to identify whether it is a root access or IAM access. In general, in organizations, we never get a root access. Impossible it is. Okay. So that will be owned by some sales team or something, like owner of that particular product owner or someone who will be owning it. Okay. Now coming back to the actual point. So after this AWS account was created, these are the first thing that you have to verify. And one more thing that you have to do is you have to configure multi-factor authentication. What is single factor authentication? What is multi-factor authentication? Any answers for it? If you know about it. We call single factor authentication, multi-factor authentication. What is it?
So single factor will have the like credential what you're using right now. It's single, right? I mean, multi in the sense like we'll be connecting the same credential with like Google Authenticator or like
that is single sign-on. SSO we call it as. The one what you have told you, what you have said example is single sign-on. What does it mean? If I'm able to access one account, I can access other accounts as well. That is single sign-on. What is single factor authentication, multi-factor authentication?
No, when you say authenticator, right? In authenticator, we'll be getting I think 6-digit password, right? That's how we will be entering here, right?
So single factor authentication is you will enter username, password, then you can access your application. That is single factor authentication. No other protection layer will be there above that. Okay, what is the problem with that? If someone has accessed your password, maybe it got exposed, you have stored somewhere in the system or you have stored somewhere in the drive, and that particular drive was accessed by someone who has seen your password, they can access it, right? See, it will see your website will verify only whether username password is valid or not. It doesn't verify whether you are not. Okay. So that is a problem with single factor authentication we have. Now to overcome these challenges, what websites are configured right now by default with multi-factor authentication? What is multi-factor authentication? After giving username password, there will be one more layer of protection where it will verify, it will ask you to give the code, maybe some OTP or maybe some particular code, passcode we call it as, or a key or a number or MPIN we call it as, what you configure in your mobile. Okay, but here it is something like authenticator, you will get some code. Now we have to give that additional code. Who will have that code? Wherever you have configured in your device that multi-factor authentication, only that particular person can access. So though the password was exposed to someone, they cannot access your application. Okay. So this is the extra layer of protection that we are adding it to our website. That is called as multi-factor authentication. Nowadays, it is a default option for each and every application that you access across the geographical locations. Is that clear or any doubts in this? Okay. Now, if you want to configure multi-factor authentication for your root account, just go to this. Here we can see account. Some details cannot be exposed, but still, I just want to, okay, I'll go to home. Better. I'll do one thing. I'll go to my account. So you have to access a service called IAM. There are plenty of services in AWS. Every service has its own features and functionality according to the requirement. Now here, according to our requirement right now, we have to access IAM service. IAM, Identity and Access Management. We'll talk about that in detail. First of all, to configure this, we have to go to IAM, Identity and Access Management. You can see the service name. Just select that. It will redirect to that particular page. And we can see the dashboard. That is a console. Whenever you log into your AWS account, you will see the console by default. After that, whichever service you want to access, you will see the dashboard of that particular service. Now, in this particular service, we have different features like users, groups, roles, policies, identity providers, account setting, root access management. All these are available. Here you can see for my root account, multi-factor authentication is configured. What you guys will see, can someone please share the screen if you have logged in? Here you will see configure MFA. I'll just guide you how to do that so that will help for others as well. In my case, I have already configured. Is someone having the account available right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can share the screen. I will stop.
Just a second.
Yeah. And make sure you have your mobile handy.
Sure. Any reasons to them, like particularly we are choosing IAM service instead of others?
Because if you need to configure MFA, right, we have to go to IAM service. That's the reason.
Okay.
And how you provide, for example, you are part of my team. You joined our organization right now. And according to the project, you need to access some services in this particular project. So we have an account, right? You can't create your own account for organization. Organization has its own account. In that account, you need to configure some service, or if you want to access some service. So how will you log into my AWS account? First, I have to create an authentication for you. I'll talk about that. What is authentication? What is authorization? After understanding these definitions, we will come to know why we have to go for IAM.
Okay. What I understood is also before we are going with AWS services, there's a mandatory step that you need to
Yeah,
authenticate.
because you have to protect your account because we
Right.
will be logging in from different networks, right? Every network is not a secured one.
Got it.
Simple.
Oh,
Why you configure a PIN number to your mobile? If someone hacks your mobile, means someone snatches your mobile, right? Someone should not
Yeah.
open that particular application. There are ways, but still, someone has to know the PIN to open that phone, right? That's the reason.
So there are various services are available in AWS console,
Many
right?
services.
Yeah.
Plenty of hundreds and thousands of services.
Yeah, right. So this is a one-time configuration for all services. Like it will
This
protect.
is one. See, account level is something. The access
Mhm.
is one-time configuration. You don't do every time, right? Once
Yeah.
you log into your account, what
Mhm.
services you access, it depends upon your requirement.
Got it.
Uh, are you not
Yeah,
able to share the screen?
yeah. 1 second. I'm just giving the because I'm waiting for the task.
Oh, okay.
When okay, I am able to log in now. So let me share my screen.
Huh. Now we can share.
Uh, are you able to see my screen?
Yes. Now go to IAM service. Just IAM. That's it. Continuation. IAM.
Oh yeah, yeah, got it.
Okay. Select the first service. Now we can see when you have not configured MFA for your root account or in future in for IAM user, you will see an option here under security recommendations. You can see first one is fine, but the second
Mhm.
one you can see add MFA for root user.
Yes.
That is not configured. So you have to select add MFA. Choose that option. Now we can see just give a device name. You can give a name whatever you prefer.
Okay.
Just give some random name. Maybe your name or your mobile device type of device what you're using.
Okay.
For example, I'm using OnePlus. I'll just write OnePlus here so that I can identify.
Okay. Yeah, I just gave a device name.
Yeah, fine, fine. After this, scroll down a little bit. Minimize this keyboard. Yeah. So here there are three options. One is passkey or security key. Another
Mhm.
one is authenticator app, or we have hardware TOP. So hardware
Okay.
TOP we never use it. It's a rare case that we go for. The
Okay.
main preferred one is nothing but authenticator app, the second one. So
Okay.
what is this authenticator app? In your mobile or any other device, you can install some authenticator app like Microsoft Authenticator, Google Authenticator. So these are the examples of authenticator application. Okay, so we have to configure by using that. Select next. And then here we can see it is asking you, you have to go to your device and search for Google Authenticator, or we have a Duo Mobile or Auto app. We can use any one of these applications according to AWS solution. And
Okay.
once you have installed in your mobile, I hope you have
Mhm.
installed,
Yeah.
and select that scan, show QR code. Select that. Click on that option. Second step.
Oh, wait.
No, just select. Yeah. Now scan that from your mobile. Open that
Yeah.
application
Yeah. I
and you
opened.
have to scan it. Once you have scanned it, you will see a 6-digit numbers which are getting populated for every 15 seconds, right? Try to type it one after the other. Once you have given, again it will refresh, right? Try to give in the second page, second one. Go to the next one. Yeah, here wait for until it got refreshed and you have to give another number as well, followed by 6 digit. Now, once this is done, just select add MFA. This is the final step. Add MFA. Have you done that?
Yeah. I had it.
That's it. Now go to the dashboard. On the left side page, you can see there is a dashboard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Left page, left side. Yeah.
Yeah.
Scroll
Dashboard.
up. Scroll up a bit. I don't see it's not configured. No, on the middle page, try to scroll up.
Mm-hmm.
Still, it is not configured. I think you have selected a wrong.
No, no,
Oh,
it's
it got
configured.
done. Done. Yeah. Thank you. So this is how it is configured. Now, once you sign out and try to re-log in, now with Only by using username password you cannot access. Additionally, you have to provide the code, 6-digit code from the authenticator app. Then only you can access your AWS root account. This is what everybody has to do with your free trial account, what you have created, for sure. This is the first day activity that you have to do on AWS account. Any questions on this particular scenario? You can stop your screen sharing. Thank you so much.
No.
Done? Okay. What is a second day activity? The next thing what you have to do is AWS recommends that we should not access our AWS account every time by using root access. It's not at all recommended. Only in certain conditions where we cannot perform certain activities by using IAM user. So here we need to understand that for AWS, we have two types of account. Access level, we can call it as. Let us say this is your AWS account. Okay. In order to access this AWS account, either we can use root or IAM user. Just right here. You know what is meant by root. Till now, whatever we are using, it's a root account. Okay. We never prefer this one. I'm sharing the screen. Is it visible?
I don't know. I'm not able to see.
Can someone confirm, please?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, then done. You can just try to relog in if needed. So in order to access this AWS account, either we use root access or we use IAM access. IAM user. Root access is not at all preferred. Anyway, we have configured MFA for this. That's fine. But still, it is not recommended in order to access your AWS account. User access. What does it mean? If you want to access your AWS account through the browser, either we use root account or we use IAM user. Till now, we have not discussed about IAM user. We have just created our AWS account with the root credentials. And we are trying to access this AWS account by using only root credentials after we have configured MFA as well. But this is not recommended as per AWS best practices. Because you are opened a browser, right? Sometimes we have a habit of closing the browser without signing out. All these particular activities are there, and you may not be using a proper network. Okay, so some phishing activity or other cybersecurity issues might be there. To avoid these kind of challenges on your AWS account with the network what we are using, it is always recommended to sign out and not to use root credentials every time to access your AWS account. Then you might ask a question, okay, if I'm not preferred to use AWS root account, then what is another option I have to access my AWS account? The next option what we have is IAM user. IAM user, identity access management user. Now how to create that user? On the left side panel, this is called as panel. On the left side panel of your AWS dashboard, IAM dashboard, you can see under access management category, you can see users. Okay, here I already have one user. Let me delete that and create a new one. How to delete a IAM user? Remember, we are not deleting the root account. One of the IAM user which I have created long back. You can see when it is created. Okay, console last sign in is somewhere long day. Oh, okay. So select this and I want to delete this user. Just delete. Remember, once you delete, we cannot recover it. Okay. So to avoid accidental deletion, we ask you to provide the additional written consent. What does it mean? It is just not deleting your user when you select this option. It is asking for your confirmation. Then only it will start deleting your user in the backend. But remember, once you delete your user, it's a permanent delete. Okay. Done. The user got deleted. Now, in your AWS account also, you will see the same thing, 0 users. What does it mean? In this AWS account, we don't have any users as of now. If I need to create a user, just create user, give some name as per your convenience. I'm giving here my name. And then you can see the length of this particular username can be 64 characters. In that 64 characters, either we can give capital letters or small letters or numbers from 0 to 9 or these particular special characters. Only these. You can't give double quotes, single quotes, dollar, slash, backward slash. You cannot provide those special characters. Only these are allowed in the name. Okay. So that's the reason why whenever you try to provide some data, try to verify the node which are allowed. Okay. And don't try to give any space while you are giving the username. Okay. If you really want to separate the words, just try to give like this underscore. This is a recommended.
Sudham,
Yep.
Sudham's one question, sir.
Yep.
Whether this creation will be done by DevOps engineer for the new employee of the project, or why you are creating this one?
Even technically, this is not done manually. There is an
Okay.
automation process for that as well. Since we want to learn the concept, I'm showing you from scratch. Like, what is this
No,
functionality?
in real time, how it,
We use
how-
Terraform or we use any other automation script. In some cases, we don't even use AWS IAM user. We might have already configured Azure account where we
Okay.
manage all the credentials over there, authentication and all. So that's a little bit vast syllabus. I'll talk about that after the basics are done, for sure.
Okay.
We are too early in the particular this concept actually. So that's the reason I don't want to go in depth. First, let us complete the basic concepts of what is this, and then we can discuss some more valid points of it. Means how we can automate this one. So in real time, we don't create them manually, right? For each and every user that we onboard the person into the project.
Yeah, this is for that only, right? I just want to.
This is for the same. See, whatever you are trying to do in the front end to provision a user, the back end,
Okay.
I'm trying to show how it will happen manually.
Okay. Yes.
This can be integrated to Active Directory.
Yes, Azure Active
Oh.
Directory. Now we can integrate to cloud, Microsoft Entra ID, so that if you try to spin up a user over there, he can access this AWS account. It's possible. Okay, but instead of using that Microsoft Entra ID, we are using AWS IAM service itself for user management. Okay,
So
we'll discuss
basically,
those
we,
points.
basically we
offline.
can say it is admin part, right?
Yeah, admin part.
Okay.
So all these particular things can be done by administrator, not a DevOps engineer as well. In some cases, it all depends upon the organization. See, every organization doesn't allow the DevOps teams to do everything, right? It depends upon the size of the project, size of the team, organization, and all. If your organization is little bit small and you are the only DevOps engineer and administrative task as well, the whole responsibility is yours. There is no other team for that. Okay, if the organization is vast, so we have a different departments. We have an administrative department, security department, DevOps department. They will create a even credentials for us, the DevOps engineer. What are the permissions are needed? They will give only that. We can access only those services. You got the point? What I'm saying for the questions asked.
Yeah, now it's clear picture.
Yeah. So here the point, what see the conclusion part of this particular task is we want to know how to provision a user in IAM dashboard. Okay. Now, the second thing is it is asking us, do you want to provide access to the user with AWS Management Console? What is AWS Management Console? The one what I'm using. If you want to access your AWS account, we open a browser. Okay, and then we type the URL and then we provide username, password, and then we will try to log into the AWS. That is called as Management Console. The option what we are using. It is asking you want this, sorry. It is asking us, do you want to provide this particular user a management console access? Yes or no? If you don't want to give it, deselect this particular checkbox. If you want to provide the access of management console for this user, select the checkbox. When you select this checkbox, it is giving you some additional options. What is that? User type. Are you providing console access to a person? Yes. How you want to provision the user? Do you want to use Identity Center? In AWS, we have one more option to provision the users called Identity Center. What does it mean? We'll talk about that later. In a simple scenario to understand, if you have multiple AWS accounts, will you create a username password for the same user in all the accounts? No, right? We have to create a username password in one account so that he can access all other accounts of AWS that belongs to the organization. How we can manage that? By using Identity Center. Okay, but we are not using that right now. So I'll be using IAM user, this option from this
So
individual account.
So can you repeat the last sentence? I mean, when you saying
Okay.
like,
Let us say you have multiple AWS account. One is for production, one is for development, one is for testing and all. We are using individual AWS account.
Yeah.
Production related services are spinned up in production account. Development related services are spinned up in development account. Staging environment related services are spinned up in staging environment. So these are three different AWS accounts. Now, if I try to create a username password for the means if I try to create authentication for a user, he can access only that account. What about he wants to access other accounts? As a DevOps engineer, he wants to access production, development, and staging environments as well. If I try to create a username password in this account, can he access other accounts? By default, he can't.
yeah,
And will you create a username password in each and every account? The problem is the URL will be different, means the account ID will be different. Always have to provide the username password. That will be a problematic to manage, right? These credentials. Instead of that, what we can do, he can access, if I try to create an authentication, he should be able to access all the three accounts. Kind of
With
a
same-
single sign-on.
Okay, got it.
How will you manage that? In AWS, we have Identity Center to do that.
Okay.
Okay. No, I don't want to do that. I want to give this authentication only to this particular specific account. Then you have to choose second option. It is as simple as it. Okay.
Yeah.
And then it is asking you, since you have enabled this option, do you want to provide any password for the console access? Yes. Obviously, by default, it will select. And which option you want to choose, either auto-generated password or custom password. Auto-generated password will AWS will follow some recommended auto-generated password. You know what is the meaning of it. I don't need to explain too much about it. Or if you want to create a custom password, select the second option. If I choose this option, where you will see the password, once a user got created, in the final stage, you will see the password. Okay. For now, I'll use custom password, or let me go for auto-generated. And then if you want to see the password, you will choose this option. But when this particular option will be chosen, when you're trying to provide a custom password is invisible. So if you want to see that password, you will select like this. Okay. And when you're trying to set some custom password, these are the recommendations. The minimum password length has to be 12 characters. In that, at least we need to have one uppercase letter, one lowercase letter, one number, and one non-alphanumeric character. You have to ensure the password is covered with all these recommendations. Then only the password
I
will
believe
be
this
set.
password.
Sorry?
I believe this password also will expire in like 60 days, right?
Yeah. True. That is called as password policy. We'll talk about that. Okay. For now, since I don't want to give the custom password for the user, I'll use auto-generated password. And there is a final option. In this particular step 1, what we are trying to give username, console access or not. If the console access is enabled, how you want to set the password? Is it custom or auto-generated password? And the final one is nothing but users must create a new password at the next sign-in recommended. What's the meaning of this? What is the benefit of enabling this option? Any guess by looking at that sentence? This is more of an interaction sessions. Okay, it's not like one way. Anything that you have understood by looking at this sentence, please let me know.
You can create your own password by that.
For example, yeah, not a own password. Technically, who is creating this user for you? Your administrator, right? Your administrator knows a password, what he has configured for you. Now, to avoid this, what we will do, when the credentials are shared to you, you will try to log in for the first time, right? When you log in for the first time, it will not allow you to access your dashboard straight away. First, it will ask you to reset the password. Whatever the password is shared to you have to reset that particular password in the first sign in. For example, you will see this particular case in the net banking. If you go to any banking sector, if you adopt for net banking, they'll give you some random password. Will you use that password for your banking, net banking? No, right?
Yeah.
Initially, you will use it. Once you log in for the first time, it will ask you forcefully to reset the password. Then only you will be able to log into the net banking dashboard.
So basically,
Similar
it's a
to
double
that,
password.
sorry?
Security purposes.
Yeah,
Basically,
security purpose, best practices. Because this password is known by someone. Though he's an administrator, but still, I don't want someone to know the password of mine, right? So that's the reason I'm asking as an administrator, I enable this option so that my users can reset their own password once they try to log in for the first time. This is recommended option. That's the reason why you can say recommended, but it is not mandate. That's what we need to understand. If you don't want to choose this option, deselect this. Got the point, right? What I've explained right now, or any confusion part in this? No. With this, our first step is done. Specify user details. Second step, what is that? Set permissions. In the next page. What is permissions? The previous task what we have done is called as authentication. There are two concepts. In order to access any website or anything, we have two parameters. One is authentication and one is authorization. Does anyone know the meaning of this?
Authentication for login and authorization for whether you have access for that particular resource.
Yeah,
role-based.
exactly. Exactly. Authentication in the sense what? Whether you can access or not, who you are. Whether it is a Facebook, Flipkart, Amazon, first it will verify whether you are existing user of this particular account means for this particular website to access or not. First it will verify who you are. That is called as authentication. That authentication nowadays has been changed. It could be OTP authentication, or maybe username password based authentication, or PIN based authentication, MPIN we call it as, or whatever it is. We have different mechanisms. All these comes under authentication. Let us say authentication has been passed. It has verified who you are. For example, I'm creating a Facebook account. First, I will try to create my Facebook account. I'll pass my personal details, username, password, mobile number, address, all these particular details. Once my account is created, my credentials and my details are stored in Facebook database. Tomorrow, when you try to log in, first I have to give my username password. What Facebook will do, it will not allow you to access. First, it will verify whether this username password what is provided is valid or not. Doing that particular process is called as authentication. What is meant by authorization? After you are logged into that particular account, what actions you can do? What actions? Action in the sense what? Create, delete, modify, update, okay, change. All these particular things are called as actions. So what actions you can do on that particular account will be decided based on the permissions that are given to you. Verifying that is called as authorization. Authorization is a common feature across all the websites or accounts, whatever you try to access, even for this AWS as well. Now, once you have created your authentication details for the user, the next thing what we have to do is permissions, nothing but authorization. What actions or what services you can access in my AWS account? Who will decide that? Not by you. When you are joining a team, Whatever the actions that particular team is doing, I will decide as administrator, I will decide what permissions are needed. Or maybe your security team will decide for this particular kind of team, for let's say DevOps team needs this kind of permissions. Development team need this kind of permissions. Operations team need only this particular permissions. That will be decided. Security team will decide that as part of DevSecOps. Now, those permissions you have to provide. Now, where we can configure the permissions for the user in this particular page. And to provide that particular permissions, we have totally three options. Add a user to the group. What does it mean? If you add a user to the group, what is the benefit of the permissions? Any guess? Though it is the first topic for us, but still, if you know, it is well and good, or else you can skip.
So if you add the group, right, like for example, developer have the permission, so they can able to only view certain things, right?
No. I'm saying if I choose this option, how the permissions are assigned to this user.
For example,
Why I'm
if you
not-
just
Go ahead. Sorry.
just think, I mean, like we have like one is like a admin group, okay, whereas admin group, like a lot of folks will be like in the ship or like company will be working, so they have to give everybody as a group. It's different, so we can
Exactly.
create a group so that we can add to that user to the group, so we'll get permission.
Exactly. So what is the best practice? See, in the organizations, we don't manage the permissions for each and every user. It's too complex for every user to give the permissions. Instead of that, what organizations will do? They will try to create a group. Let's say DevOps group, for example, I'm saying. What are the permissions are necessary for this particular group? Means later I will be adding some users to this group. For example, user 1, user 2, and let us say user 3. Okay. In Linux also we have discussed about what is our need of groups. Let us say there is a second user. And let us say there is a third user. Now all these three users are part of DevOps team. Okay. Now as part of the task, I've added this particular users to this group. Okay. Now, if I need to give a permissions, I no need to attach the permissions to this particular user. That is not a recommended approach. Let us say we have some permissions. Technically in AWS, we call it as IAM policy. IAM policy. To manage the permissions on the AWS account to access, we create a IAM policy. We don't attach a policy directly to the user. That is not a recommended approach, though we can do it. What does it mean? Why it is such? Because managing IAM policies for individual users is too complex to manage. See, initially when you're doing this particular task, it becomes so easy. When your team size is growing, right? When we have some thousands of users, it is not that easy to manage permissions to the individual users. I don't know who is a user, what permissions we have to give and all. Tomorrow, if I need to remove the permissions, I have to go to that user and remove the permission. Instead of this, what is a recommended approach? This is not a recommended one. So the best practice is try to create a policy and attach it to the group. What is the benefit of this? What is the benefit of this? When I attach this particular IAM policy to this particular group, whichever user is part of this group, everybody will get the same permissions. This is an advantage what we have when you try to manage your group level policies. User level policy is not recommended. Only in certain conditions we have to go for user level policy. Okay, policy is nothing but set of permissions. Set in the sense what? Group of permissions. Together is called as policy. Okay. Now, the recommended approach is attach a policy to the group. If a user is part of that group, he will get the permissions. Tomorrow, if I want to remove the permissions for this user, what I will do? I will remove the user from the group. It is as simple as that. If you want to choose this approach, you have to go for the first option. As of now, in my AWS account, I don't have any group. If you want to create it right now, you can select create group. Okay. Since I'm not choosing this option right now, you can go for second one. Let us say what is the benefit of this. Any guess? Meanwhile, any guess? I'm not choosing the first option. I've told you what is the purpose of the first option, but I'm not using that. Second option we have copy permissions. What does it mean? Any guess by looking at this sentence?
Existing. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, one by one.
We are copying existing user permission to that new user.
Simple.
New
Let us
user.
say you already have a user. He already has certain permissions. I want the same permissions to attach to another user. Instead of me planning about it or creating a duplicate policies. What is the best practice? Select the second option and try to choose a user. What are the permissions you want to allocate to your user? Okay, that is called as copy permissions. Here we cannot choose a group. We can choose only a user. What is the final one? What is this last one, which we are going to use right now? Any guess?
So existing policy, we can able to, if you have the previously have some policy defined, right? So we can able to attach that in the Terraform.
Simple. If you want to attach a policy directly to the user, go for the third option. Okay. So we have seen first option. Second option is nothing but, let us say what are the permissions we have for user 2. I want to give the same permissions for user 1. Then I will go for second option. Okay. First option we have discussed. If you want to attach IAM policy to the group, and if you want to add a user to that group, then go for first option. But as of today, I want to go for third option. And once you have selected this option, you will see the list of policies which are available in your AWS account. Now, these particular policies are predefined. Did you created this 1356 policies? No, these are available by default in your AWS account. Once the AWS account was created, these policies will be populated in your account. If you want to create your own policy, that is called as customer managed policy. I'll tell you, there are 3 types of policies. Just try to remember this, but we are not going to discuss in deep about IAM policy for today. Just I want to tell you that in IAM policy, there are totally 3 types. IAM policy. We are talking about types. There are 3. What are those? One is AWS managed policy. AWS managed policy. You can just start. Whatever it is. Try to adjust this. Yeah. Next one is customer managed policy. Customer managed policy. And the last one is inline policy. Line. Okay. AWS managed policy, customer managed policy, inline policy. Now the one what you are seeing on the screen, the policies list, all these are AWS managed policy. How I came to know that? You can see the type AWS managed, or we can see this particular logo. When you see like this, what does it mean? It is AWS managed policy. What does it mean? What is the meaning of it? You can't create them. You can't delete them. It is a read-only access. What does it mean? We can only utilize this particular policy, but we cannot modify this policy. That is called as AWS managed policy. Why I'm talking about this sentence in detail? Because if someone asks in interview, what is the difference between customer managed policy, AWS managed policy, your sentence has to be so appropriate when you try to explain them. AWS managed policies are managed by AWS. It is only a read-only access to you. You can see in your AWS account and we can use them. We cannot modify them or we cannot delete them. Understood, right? Or any doubts in this with my sentence?
Uh, who will create these policy names basically?
AWS, that's what. AWS will create.
Okay.
Those will get populated across all the AWS accounts, not only for you. It's for everyone, public.
Can we define, I mean, if something, a manual access is required, I mean, manually want to define one policy name that you have to give.
Yeah, that is create
access.
policy. You have to create your own policy. For example, as per your organization requirement, some particular permissions are not satisfying your requirement. Okay, in those conditions, what you have to do, you have to create your own policy. Those are called as customer managed policy. Now, these policies will be visible only to your account. Those will not be accessed by anyone because those are not public policies. Those are private. Got the point?
Yes. Thank you.
What is inline policy? We'll discuss. Straight away, if I say now, you may not understand that, right? So that's the reason we'll discuss that later. This is the basic difference between AWS managed policy and customer managed policy. Any confusion part in this? Everyone? Okay. Now, the first thing what you have to do is try to attach this particular policy. Administrator access. Administrator access. Be careful. Do not give this particular permissions to everyone in your AWS account. Why? Because administrative access in the sense what? They can access everything. They can create, delete, modify. They can even manage permissions. You are giving root level access. But the only thing this particular permission will not have is billing access. He cannot access your account or billing account of the root. Apart from that, he can manage all the services as administrator. But why I'm giving this for now? Because since I don't want to access my AWS account by using root account, I want to access by using IAM user. For that IAM user, one user, I want to give administrative access to do the actual administrative task. That's the reason why I'm giving it. Once you have selected that, and one more question which everybody will have is, can we select more than one policy? Yes, we can. Yes, we can do it. Why? Because you can see the checkbox. It is not a radio button, right? If it is a radio button, you can understand that it is one option that you can select. If it is a checkbox, multiple options. You can just prefer them whichever you want. That's it. As of now, this particular policy is not attached to anyone. You can say the count is 0. And let us say next. Finally, this is the review and create. So this is the summary. With the options what you have selected in step 1 and step 2, it is giving you some preview. If you are okay to these options, then you have to go to create user. Okay, the third step. And finally, in the last step, you will see your password. So this is the URL for the people to access to your AWS account by using IAM user. Copy this particular URL. I'll show you. I will open incognito. Let me give this particular URL. What is this one right now? The first one, what you see is my AWS account ID. That is there in the part of the URL itself. This will get changed for everyone because every account will have a unique ID, right? So account ID dot signin.aws.amazon.com/console and then followed by username and the password. I cannot show you the password, just I will copy it and I will paste it here. And then sign in. What we are using right now, IAM user access, not root level access. Okay. So if you want to create any other user in AWS account, by default, those are called as IAM users. Root account will be only one per account. One-to-one basis it is. If you want to create more authentications, then you have to go for IAM user. That's what I'm doing right now. But when you are using IAM user sign in, either you have to provide account ID. What is alias, I will let you know. Or else we have, apart from that account ID, we have to give IAM username and the password. Do you want to remember this particular account ID for your browser all the time as a cache? Select this option. Okay. And then let us say sign in. You can see it is asking you to reset the password. Why it is asking you this? Because we have selected that option. If you remember, we have chosen one option in the step 1. Sign in user should reset the password in the first login. We selected that option, recommended one. That is the reason why. So give the old password and try to set a new password. Let me give my own password. As a confirmation, we have to retype the password, which should match with the above. If you want to see the password, what you have typed, you can choose this checkbox. Right now, I'm not doing it. And let us say confirm. Confirm password change. Done. Continue to sign in. Now this user has logged into my AWS account. How we can say it is an IAM access? You can see here in the drop-down list, you will see account ID and you will see IAM username. When you see like this, what does it mean? It is IAM access. It is not a root access. Okay. Since I've given him administrative access, he can access everything apart from billing. If I try to access billing and cost management, it will throw me error. Access denied. I don't have permissions.
Okay, so basically from this console, right? So whatever the user has provisioned with related to those resources can able to see from this console. Apart from he can't do anything.
He can see other services as well. It doesn't mean no. I will correct your sentence. He can see all the services, but which service he can access, it depends upon the permissions what you have given.
Got it. Thank you.
Got it right. I'm able to see IAM user here. It doesn't mean that I can access IAM. It depends upon if I go to the dashboard, then it will let me know whether I have the permissions or not. I've already given the permissions as administrator. He can say everything.
Understood.
You can see MFA is not configured for yourself. Yourself in the sense what? The current user which you have logged in. It is only configured for root access. For your IAM user, MFA is not configured. If you want to protect your account, you can see the permissions tab. Oh, below that it is showing you directly only this user. You can see directly only this one. In your case, it is showing you two.
It's IAM user change password.
So that option that will be selected by default when you have chosen that option to reset your own password. That will be there by default. No need to worry about that.
Okay.
Do one thing. If you don't want to see that, go back and try to remove that checkbox. You will understand this concept.
Why that option is not there for you? Like, I mean, because you selected as
earlier it used to show me, maybe because I've selected administrative access, it is part of that, right? Okay. So it is not showing. But earlier it used to show me that. Maybe AWS has done some modifications not to display because it is a administrative permissions, right? Even I'm seeing right now. Earlier it used to show the permissions. Can you do one thing? Can someone just try to create a user with administrative access and do that? Or without administrative? Don't choose any permissions and try to create a user. Or I will do that. No need to worry. Okay, I'll sign out from this user for now. I'll try to create one more user. Dummy user. Okay, create. Let us say demo user. Sorry, caps. Console access. IAM. Auto generate password. I deselect this option. Okay, when you deselect this option, for example, I'll not give any permissions for now. You will see nothing in the permission summary. If I go to previous step, if I choose this option, oh, that is not okay. Maybe it is getting hidden. Required password reset is set yes, right? By default, it is not showing you that. But technically, it has to show. Last time it has shown actually, maybe a few days back or few months back.
One question, okay. Right now, you're not selected any permission, okay. So
Yes.
that means that user doesn't have any privilege, right?
Any permissions at all.
Yes. Yeah.
For example, okay, let me create this user. Okay. To answer your question, let us see practically. For this user, we have enabled this checkbox. Apart from that, we have not given any permissions, right? You can see here, earlier it used to show what kind of permission is allocated here for this particular activity. They have done a lot of changes. That is a random change what AWS will do as part of the development. Now let me create this user. We'll talk about this. Demo user. Let me log in once again. Account ID will be the same for all the users in my account. Sign in.
So do you need to give the account ID? Only the IAM user is not sufficient.
See, sorry, I didn't get it. Account ID is mandate. Without giving account ID, how it will understand that it is your account? That user belongs to your account. Because I can create a same user across different accounts, right? For example, I'm saying demo user I can create in multiple AWS accounts. For example, now when I give username password, if I don't provide the account ID, it will not understand right which account it belongs to verify.
Okay, but correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, I mean, I think once we created the user, like I mean, that will be created with link to the same account ID only, right?
Obviously, see that's true. But when you're going to the browser, that is a common dashboard for every account, right? Every AWS account. For example, if you go to Facebook, Facebook page, login page is common for every user, right?
Okay, got it.
How it will understand that you are trying to access your account by giving account ID.
Got your point.
Yeah. Now you can see I have logged into the account. It is not even asked for password reset. Why did I unselected that box? Oh, this is a random change. This is a strange thing which I'm seeing now as well. You understood, right? What you have missing here. For example, I'll go inside this. No permissions have been assigned. Let me delete this user once again. The strange thing what I've observed is confirm. Other people can drop off. This is all for today. This is an additional task what we are trying to do. For example, I will create a user, demo user, console access, create user, random password. Okay. Even after selecting this, if you are not given any permissions, he's able to log into your account without resetting the password. Strange.
Maybe can you try incognito mode? Like maybe
see that's fine. Yeah. I will deselect this. I'll go to the next step. I'll not attach any permissions. You can say summary, no permissions have been attached. Create user. Now sign in. Username, password. You can see. Strange. In both the cases, we are able to access.
So basically,
even I select the checkbox, strange behavior. Earlier, we don't have this option, this kind of approach actually. I don't know whether it's a default behavior. Anyway, I'll check with AWS support, but it is a free support what we have. When you observe these kind of things, right, you can talk to the technical support and say that these are the things what you have observed, and they will verify. You understood both the cases, right? Technically, when I've selected that option, there should be some default policy that is attached. Okay, and then it should ask you to reset the password when you try to log in for the first time with those credentials. It is not even doing that. First thing. Second thing is when I have removed that option, obviously you will be able to access. This is a expected behavior.
Yep.
Because I have not selected that option, resetting the password in this first sign in, I was able to log in directly. That is fine. This is an expected behavior. I have any confusion part in this. Now the strange thing what I've observed is, let me test it once again. Because I have to justify my sentence, right? Or else it will be a wrong thing. Let me. delete. The user got deleted. You can see. Now create user. Let me try to give demo user again, same user, or let me modify this user. Console access. To selected this use recommended option to sign in. Next. Attach. Let me try not to attach any policy. Let's say next. Summary. Create user. You can say required password is enabled. Now copy this particular credentials. You guys also can give a try and let me know what you have observed. Whatever the task which I'm trying to repeat. This is what expected. I don't know why. It's working. So that's what I'm thinking actually. When you selected that option, obviously it should ask you this. The only thing which I couldn't see is the permission. In general, when you select that particular checkbox, it has to show you the default permission associated to it. It is not showing actually. If people are able to see it, that's fine.
But we didn't attach any policy, anything, right? So
nothing is attached. For example, if I try to log in now, I cannot perform any action. Let me show you. Sign in. If I try to access any service, for example, since we talked about IAM, let me try to access IAM. You can see, right? Though you don't have permissions, you can access the services. But what actions you can do on that service, it depends upon the policy that is attached to you. If the no proper permissions are given to you, you can say access denied. I'm not able to see the security recommendations even. This is just a read access. Still, I'm not able to do it. Why? Because you don't have the permission.
Okay.
Access denied. If I go to users, access denied. Now let me give some permission. For example, now for this user, I want to give one permission. Let us say way to tech stack user. How you can attach a permissions after the user got created. Add permissions. Do not choose a second one since we have not talked about what is inline policy. Attach permissions. Again, you will see the same page. 3 options. I want to choose this. Here, I want to give read-only access. Let me search for that. We have something called Amazon AWS read-only access. For the entire console, we can provide a read-only access. I think it's not given. Okay, let me try to give IAM permissions, not full access. I want to give read-only. You know what is read-only, right? We can read the information, but you cannot create a user. We cannot delete a user. We cannot modify the user or any other activity. Okay. This is the permission what I've attached to this user. As an administrator, I have done that. Now, as a user, I want to test it. Refresh. I'm able to see the information. You can see the dashboard. This information you cannot see it because it needs an additional permissions. Okay. But you are able to see this information. Users, groups. You're not seeing anything like permission denied. Got it right? So it's a level of access that is given to you. Based on that, you can perform the activity. If the permissions are not given to you, even though you have logged into my AWS account, you cannot perform any activity. Why? Because I have not given you any permissions, right? You cannot perform any actions. It is as simple as that. But we'll talk more about the permissions later. But this is just a basic understanding of what is permissions. Any doubts? Sorry, I am not able to hear you properly.
Yeah, single account ID.
many user we can create? Is there any limitations?
Sorry, really bad from my side. I'm not able to hear. Can someone, or you can type it, or you can someone, if you have understood, please let me know. What was the question? Okay. If you want to remove the permissions for this user, you can just select this checkbox, which permission you want to remove for that user. Remember, we are not deleting the policy. The policy which is attached to the user, we are trying to remove it. Simple. Now he will not have any permissions apart from resetting his own password. That's all. Okay, so this is all for today, guys. And tomorrow we will continue from here. We have just seen the fundamentals
So
and understanding this. Yeah.
I just want to talk to you, if you don't mind, like, because I just joined yesterday only, so I just want to know, like, can you just talk about the course curriculum, if you don't mind, like,
Okay, sure, definitely. So
Even I yesterday, sir.